Is there a more effective way to evaluate teachers? I'm Jill Horner. This is Comcast Newsmakers. With me this hour is Pennsylvania State Representative Ryan Aument. Thanks for being with us.
It's good to be here. Thank you.
Let's talk about this idea of evaluating teachers. Do individual districts evaluate teachers in different ways?
Certainly, yes. And I think parents, teachers, and students already know what the research is indicating, and that is that effective teachers do matter and have an impact in the classroom. And so I think it's important that we here in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania develop a robust system for evaluating teachers.
Now let's talk about a grant, and this is awarded through the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and this is a grant to actually change the way in which teachers are evaluated. So you have a model in place that really looks at individual students, individual teachers in a different way. Talk to us about this grant and how it's being applied.
That's exactly right. This grant has been provided to allow for a pilot program to be launched here in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. And it's my understanding we have to date already over 100 school districts that are going to be participating in this pilot to inform what a system of evaluation should look like. The pilot is going to allow for putting in place the Charlotte Danielson rubric that allow for administrators to effectively evaluate teacher performance based on observations and annual performance reviews. But we will also be taking a close look at student performance. I think it's important that student performance be part of teacher evaluation.
Now that can be tricky when you incorporate student performance because obviously every student is different. How do you incorporate that into a teacher's review when you're dealing with individual students, individual needs? You're dealing with students coming from different backgrounds. They may have different socioeconomic conditions. They may have IEPs. They may have special learning needs. How do you incorporate all of that into a teacher's review?
That's exactly right, and I think that's why the pilot is such an important step. So we can actually take a look at and get feedback from teachers and administrators as to what works and what's fair in terms of teacher evaluation. I think it's important that we take a look at two primary measures of student achievement and student growth. I think we need to look at both. We can look at PSSA results and get a sense of are students proficient. Secondly, we have a value-added assessment tool in the state, PVAS, that allows us to take a look at not just proficiency, but to actually take a look at student growth. Based on past performances on the PSSA, we can project out where a student should be by the 11th grade, for example. And we can see whether a teacher has advanced a student, has assisted a student to advance a year's academic growth, or even if a student's proficient, but the student has not advanced a year or more in terms of academic growth. So I think it's important we look at achievement, and I think it's important that we look at growth, and I think the pilot will help inform that. It's also important to note, I believe, that in other states that are using the value-added assessment tool, that we are able to statistically take a look at and account for single-parent homes, minority students, and other factors that we know, individualized learning plans for students with special needs. We can take a look and account for those things and fairly assess how those students are performing.
Why do you think that this could be an important tool for the Commonwealth? How are you hoping that this pilot study turns out in terms of teacher evaluations being able to be used for the future of education?
Well, I think it's important to realize that education changes, and it has been changing. Our students are no longer competing against students from other school districts or other states. They're literally competing for jobs against kids from China. And so I think it's important that we are innovative, that we are creative, and we recognize that effective teaching has an impact. And so we can work directly with teachers who can take a look at student performance to better address student needs based on their achievement. We can also help those teachers and put plans in place to help those teachers that are struggling. And we can reward those teachers who are doing well in the classroom. So I think it's important that we launch this pilot, that's going to inform the legislative process, that we build a system legislatively. I'm excited to have a local school district, the Penn Manor School District, that's going to participate in this pilot program.
Thanks so much. We've been talking with Pennsylvania State Representative Ryan Aument. I'm Jill Horner.